Hello everyone, I am Christian Bicordano, and I will continue the report about nonverbal communication. But first and foremost, let us recap what Tessa and Eliza have reported. Tessa reported about verbal communication and its six types, namely emotive, evasive, jargon, argot, abstract, and overly abstract communication. While Eliza have reported about nonverbal communication, its definition, its functions, its importance, and she also discussed the first five forms of nonverbal communication. Moving on to my report, I will discuss the remaining five forms of nonverbal communication, namely proxemics, haptics, semiotics, artifacts, and also silence. First on our list is proxemics. Proxemics refers to the interpersonal space to regulate intimacy. In short, proxemics is the use of space. It is an indicator of how close or how intimate we feel towards other people. For instance, when you wave to express hi to an acquaintance and when you hug to express greetings to your family is very different. Proxemics is a theory of nonverbal introduced by Edward T. Hall in the 1960s to explain how people understand and use space to attain communication purposes. According to Hall, following the use of space below will indicate the kind of relationship people have. Intimate is 0 to 18 inches, personal is 18 inches to 4 feet, social is 4 feet to 10 feet, public is over 10 feet. Now let me clarify you that what Hall created is for the US context, because as you may all know, according to Hofstede 1991, USA is the most individualistic country among 53 countries and regions he surveyed. The study of distance varies from culture to culture. For instance, we Asians have a more intimate contact, such as hugging or kissing in the cheeks as part of greetings and social interactions. On the other hand, Americans are used in having larger personal space. This means that there's a possibility that their personal is still our intimate or their social is still our personal. Therefore, our personal space is determined by our culture. We have four types of territory. Number one, body territory refers to the personal space the individual maintains with other people. For instance, you might feel uncomfortable if a stranger stands too close to you in an elevator because this is your body territory and it is your personal space. Number two, primary territory refers to the home, vehicle, or other living spaces of the person. For instance, my bedroom is a space that belongs to me and is considered private, where others need permission to enter. Number three, secondary territory refers to school, office, or church where entry is reserved for specific individuals and norms are expected and looked upon. For instance, our classroom, BLB1, while not owned by us, is often associated with us students of 1SM because of our frequent use of this classroom and also our shared norms, such as maintaining the cleanliness of this classroom. Therefore, the BLB1 classroom is considered our secondary territory. And lastly, public territory. Public territory refers to the open space where everyone visits, such as the park, market, shopping malls, and many others. Second in our forms of nonverbal communication is haptics. Haptics refers to the study of communication through touch. Touch is essential for social development, which can either be threatening, such as choking someone, welcoming, such as a handshake, or persuasive. There are numerous kinds of touch. Number one is functional professional touch. Functional professional touch is associated with professional routines and is less threatening and non-intimate. Examples of this are barbers, hairstylists, doctors, nurses, tattoo artists, and security screeners. They touch us because it is part of their job. Number two, social polite touch is common in social interactions and helps in first impressions and relationship building. Examples of this are handshakes and pats on the shoulder or arm. Number 3, friendship warmth touch. It strengthens relationship by showing closeness, adoration, attention, and concern. These are those high fives and hugs. However, too much touch can be mistaken as signals for being sexual or being romantic, and less touch may signal detachment or disassociation. Number 4 on our list is love intimacy touch. It is more personal and meaningful and not necessarily sexual but may lead to sexual arousal touch. Examples of this are holding hands, kissing, and full frontal hugs. This may be done through your significant others, your close family members, or your romantic partners. Last on our list is sexual arousal touch. It is the most intimate form of touch, specifically intended to create physical attraction and sexual stimulation. Third in our forms of nonverbal communication is semiotics. Semiotics is literally the study of sign languages. These are body movements that are used to substitute letters, words, numbers, phrases, and even sentences. There are two types of sign languages. Number 1 is alternate sign language. It is a system of hand signals developed by speakers for limited communication in a specific context where speech cannot be used. Have you watched The Bad Genius, a Thai movie? There is this part of the movie where the genius girl used piano keys to help other students cheat on an exam.
Narinig niyo na ba na nakakatulong ang classical music sa brain development? Gagamit tayo ng 4 na kanta para mag-represent ng A, B, C at D. I-memorize na ng galaw ng daliri ko. Yun ang letter A. Tandaan niyo, magsisimula sa hinliliit matatapos sa hinlalaki. Letter B naman yon. Ganito yon. 4, 3, 2, 1, 3 lang. Na twice ko namang gagawin. Yun naman ang C. Yung D naman yon. 3 answer tapos kayo na sa pang-4. Ganun ang pattern natin. Para naman hindi tayo mahalata. Sa ganung paraan, hindi tayo mapapansin ng teacher natin. Kayo nang bahalang sumagot sa mga natitira. Simula 9:15 ako magbibigay ng mga sagot. Bago yon, sagutin nyo na yung iba.
That is an example of alternate sign language. Another example is military hand signals. They use hand signals to not alert the enemy. They might use this to indicate watch closely. Number 2 is primary sign language. It refers to the first language of a group of people who do not use a spoken language with each other. Examples of this are American Sign Language, Filipino Sign Language, Hindu Sign Language, and many others. Next on our forms of nonverbal communication is artifacts. Artifacts are the materials a person owns, uses, wears, or discards. Examples of these are clothes, jewelries, hairstyles, technology, piercings, tattoos, etc. These items provide quick personal surveillance of a person. This means that these items conveys message about you, including your preference, your taste, your likes, your dislikes, your resources, ang naa ka, or the lack of it, ang wala ka. In communicating, objects and appearance can reinforce identity and are used to express personality, culture, and social roles. For instance, who is this woman in that picture? She is Love Marie Escudero, or also known as Heart Evangelista. Heart Evangelista is an artist, philanthropist, and a fashion darling. She is known for having these expensive clothes, expensive bags, and jewelries. By that, we can conclude that Heart Evangelista is rich. Another example is a woman wearing a ring signifies that she is married. A woman wearing a hijab signifies that her religion is Islam. A man wearing a white coat and a stethoscope around his neck signifies that he is a doctor. Last from our forms of nonverbal communication is silence. Silence simply means the lack of audible sound. It can be best explained by the statement, what is not said is as important or is even more important than what is said. This means that sometimes silence can communicate better than any words. In a conversation between two people, a silent reply may signify the receiver does not understand or may refuse to answer. To example, when a teacher asks a student a question, but the student remains silent, this may signify that the student does not understand the question or does not know the answer. Another is when a person confronts another person, but the other person remains silent. This may signify that the other person refuses to engage in the discussion. In both cases, silence communicates something meaningful than without the use of words. Let's move on to another topic, which is nonverbal leakage and microexpressions. Nonverbal leakage are those gestures blowing our cover when we are attempting to conceal something. For instance, if we verbally express something, but our body language, our facial expressions, and our tone of voice are screaming something else, our nonverbals are leaking onto our verbals. In other words, there's a disconnection of what we say and how we say it. One example is if you will ask someone, "Huy, okay ra ka?" But the response is, "Oh, okay raman," but with a cracked voice, avoids eye contact, and a forced smile. This means that what she said is not true. Microexpressions are involuntary facial expressions that will flash within a fraction of a second. So you'll have to pay close attention or you'll miss it because this happen as fast as 1/25th or 1/15th of a second. This nonverbal leakage exposes a person's true emotions because microexpressions reveals a person's genuine emotional state before they even have time to mask it. To deeply understand, observe the picture. Also, according to Dr. Paul Ekman, the discoverer of the microexpressions are universal. This means that it is a language that transcends borders and cultures. He also identifies 7 universal microexpressions: happiness, sadness, anger, disgust, contempt, fear, and surprise. That ends my presentation. I hope you learned something. Thank you.